Have you ever felt a profound sadness you couldn't explain, or possessed a skill you never truly learned? These are not glitches in your personality. They are memories without a story. For millennia, the world's greatest sages taught that your soul is a library of lifetimes. But they didn't just believe it. They created maps to navigate it. Today, we journey beyond belief. We will explore the wisdom of India's rishis, Egypt's priest-scribes, and Greece's philosophers to decode what they truly knew about your soul's epic story. There is a quiet exhaustion that has no name in our modern language. It's a feeling of being ancient, of carrying a weight that doesn't seem to belong to the years you've lived. It's the profound sense of loneliness, even when surrounded by loved ones, as if you are a traveler in a land you should call home, but can't quite remember why it feels so foreign. Perhaps you know this feeling. Perhaps you've experienced that brief shimmering tear in the fabric of the present we call déjà vu, a moment so intensely familiar it stops your breath. Or maybe you carry a sorrow, a deep well of melancholy that no event in your life can justify, yet it remains a constant companion. Our world has a habit of labeling what it cannot measure. We are taught to see these feelings as echoes of childhood trauma, chemical imbalances, or simply the anxieties of a complex life. And while those things are real, they may not be the entire story. What if these experiences are not dysfunctions? What if they are the natural functions of a much larger self? The ancient sages gave this phenomenon a name. We can call it soul memory. It is the idea that the soul, the core of our consciousness, is a vessel that carries the imprint, the wisdom, and the unresolved wounds of countless experiences across time. The fatigue you feel isn't just from this life's struggles. It may be the weariness of 1,000 journeys. The skill that comes so naturally might be a mastery perfected long ago. The irrational fear, a scar from a wound you can no longer see. This is not a new idea, born in recent spiritual movements. The concept of the soul's return is one of humanity's oldest and most persistent intuitions. It's a piece of our shared heritage, discovered independently by cultures separated by oceans and epochs. Long before recorded history, our ancestors looked at the cycles of nature. The sun rising after the longest night, the green shoot emerging from the dead of winter, and saw a reflection of their own inner truth. Life does not end, it simply transforms. This wisdom was not born of fantasy. It was born of deep observation, both of the outer world and the inner one. The great spiritual traditions we will explore did not see the soul's journey as a belief to be defended, but as a cosmic mechanism to be understood. They were the first cartographers of consciousness, drawing maps of the soul's passage through the realms of existence. They sought to answer the most fundamental questions. Why do we return? What are we here to learn? And how can we navigate this journey with grace and purpose? So the question is not if the soul remembers. The evidence is written into the unexplained corners of your own experience. The real question is, how do we learn to listen to its ancient whispering language? Where did the sages leave the keys to unlock our own vast inner library? Our journey into that library begins in the East, with a vision of the cosmos not as a straight line, but as a vast, breathing circle of existence. The ancient rishis of India, the inspired seers of the Vedic tradition, offered a powerful and elegant model for the soul's journey. For many, it is known as the Wheel of Life, a cycle of birth and rebirth. But perhaps a more accurate metaphor for our modern understanding is that of a resonance chamber. Imagine your soul exists within a vast silent chamber. Every life you live is a sound you emit into this space, a complex chord made of your intentions, your actions, your love, and your fear. Samsara is the endless cycle of emitting these sounds, and karma in its purest form is the fundamental law of this chamber. It is not a cosmic judge, nor a system of reward and punishment. It is a law of spiritual physics, as neutral and as absolute as gravity. It simply states, every sound you send out will return to you as an echo. This is why patterns seem to haunt us. Why do we find ourselves in the same kind of relationships, facing the same financial struggles, or fighting the same inner demons, life after life? The sages would say it is because of the echoes. But what causes the echoes to persist? The answer lies in a concept called samskaras. Samskaras are the residual vibrations from every sound your soul has ever made. Think of a great bronze bell. When it is struck, the initial sound is powerful, but long after the sound fades, the bell itself continues to hum with a subtle, resonant frequency. Samskaras are that hum within the soul. They are deep grooves, energetic imprints of our most powerful experiences and most ingrained habits. These lingering vibrations act like tuning forks, attracting experiences from the outside world that resonate at the same frequency. A soul humming with the samskara of betrayal will unconsciously attract situations where its trust is tested again and again until it learns to emit a new sound. This may sound like ancient mysticism, but our modern understanding of the human mind is only just beginning to map the same territory. Psychology speaks of implicit memory, memories that operate without our conscious awareness. It's the memory in your hands that knows how to ride a bicycle, or the memory in your nervous system that causes you to flinch when a hand is raised too quickly. You don't remember learning it, but it shapes your reality. Even more profoundly, psychologists identify emotional schemas. These are the core beliefs about ourselves and the world, often formed in our earliest years, that run like hidden programs in our minds. I am not worthy. I will always be abandoned. I must be perfect to be loved. These schemas are the modern language for samskaras. They are the unconscious vibrations that dictate so much of our life's song, exactly as described in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali thousands of years ago. The rishis articulated this entire process with breathtaking simplicity in the ancient texts of the Upanishads. They taught, "As is your desire, so is your will. As is your will, so is your deed. As is your deed, so is your destiny." It is a perfect, unbroken chain. Our deepest, often unconscious desires set the frequency. That frequency directs our will, which fuels our actions. And our actions are the sounds that echo back to us as fate. We are living inside the resonance chamber of our own consciousness. But here, a deeper question arises. If karma is the echo the soul attracts, and samskaras are the lingering vibrations, what exactly is the source of the sound? What is the eternal witness behind all the vibrations? The sages gave us a name for this silent witness. The sages called this silent witness Atman. It is the true self, the fragment of divinity that resides within every being. It is the consciousness that has looked out from the eyes of every ancestor you have ever had. It is the part of you that is unborn, undying, and untouched by the dramas of the world. To grasp this, let's use a modern metaphor, that of a movie projector. Imagine that the Atman is the pure, unwavering light of the projector. It is the source. It simply is. Our lives, our personalities, our egos, our memories, our triumphs and tragedies are the frames of the film passing in front of that light. The drama, the color, the story all happen on the screen of existence, and we become completely captivated. We laugh with the hero, we weep with the victim, we rage against the villain. We become so immersed in the story that we forget a crucial truth. We are not the character on the screen. We are the light that allows the movie to be seen. The entire spiritual journey, according to this vision, is about remembering this. It is the process of shifting our identification away from the fleeting movie of our life and back to the eternal source of the light. This grand awakening has a name, moksha. It means liberation. It is the moment the consciousness stops chasing the plot on the screen and finally recognizes itself as the projector's silent, peaceful light. It is the end of the cycle. This idea of the soul as an active, conscious participant in its own journey is not unique to the Vedas. On the other side of the world, the Greek philosopher Plato described a strikingly similar process in one of his most powerful tales, the myth of Ur. In this story, a soldier named Ur is killed in battle, but his soul returns to his body on the funeral pyre, and he awakens to tell the story of what he saw in the afterlife. He describes a place of judgment where souls receive rewards for their virtues or punishment for their injustices. But the most fascinating part of his tale comes after this period of reckoning. The souls are led before the fates, the goddesses of destiny, and presented with a vast array of new lives to choose from. They see lives of kings and commoners, of artists and warriors, of humans and animals. Plato tells us that the choice a soul makes is deeply influenced by the habits of its previous life. A soul that had been a tyrant, driven by power, might choose a similar life again, not understanding its consequences. But the soul of the hero Odysseus, weary of grand adventures and strife, searched for and joyfully chose the life of a quiet, private man. Here, in the heart of Western philosophy, is the same essential teaching. We are not passive victims of fate. We are the choosers of our destiny, the artists selecting the canvas for our next masterpiece or our next lesson. This ancient concept of a core, observing consciousness, the Atman, the true chooser, resonates with the deepest inquiries of the human experience. The practice of meditation in all its forms is essentially an attempt to quiet the noisy movie of the mind, to dim the drama on the screen, so that we might catch a glimpse of the steady, silent light of the projector behind it all. Even some modern neuroscientists, grappling with the hard problem of consciousness, are beginning to entertain the possibility that consciousness is not something the brain creates, but something more fundamental, a property of the universe itself that the brain simply receives. They are, in their own language, searching for the light. The Vedic vision is one of a cosmic cycle of learning, of emitting sounds and receiving echoes, of choosing our parts in the grand play. But in the sands of Egypt, the journey was seen as far more literal, a perilous nighttime odyssey where the very anatomy of your soul determined your survival. While the Indian rishis mapped the cycles of consciousness, the priest scribes of ancient Egypt charted a different kind of territory, the intricate anatomy of the soul itself. For them, the soul was not a single, simple entity. It was a complex and multifaceted being, a composite of various spiritual bodies, each with its own purpose, its own needs, and its own destiny after death. To understand their vision of immortality, we must first understand two of the most vital components of this spiritual anatomy, the Ka and the Ba. These were not abstract concepts. To the Egyptians, they were as real as the heart or the brain. The Ka is often translated as the spirit or life force, but a more evocative metaphor is the living shadow or the energetic double. The Ka was an exact replica of the physical body, but made of a finer, more ethereal substance. It was born with you, walked beside you throughout your life as an invisible twin, and was the source of your vitality. And crucially, the Ka was mortal in its own way. After death, it remained bound to the tomb, to the physical realm, and it needed sustenance. This is why tombs were filled with offerings of food, drink, and worldly goods, not for the dead body, but to nourish the living shadow that lingered there. Without this sustenance, the Ka would fade, and a critical piece of the soul would be lost. Then there was the Ba. If the Ka was the earthbound shadow, the Ba was the star of personality. It was the aspect of the soul that contained your unique character, your mind, your memories, and everything that made you you. The Ba was often depicted as a bird with a human head, symbolizing its mobility and its connection to the heavens. After death, while the Ka remained in the tomb, the Ba was free to ascend to the sky, to travel with the sun god Ra in his solar boat across the heavens during the day. But this freedom came with a profound obligation. Every single night, the Ba had to journey back through the perilous underworld, navigate its dangers, and return to the tomb to reunite with its other half, the Ka. Immortality was not a given state. It was an active process, a sacred reunion that had to be achieved night after night. The ultimate goal for the Egyptian soul was to successfully merge the Ka and the Ba, creating a unified and powerful spirit known as an Akh, an effective and eternal being of light. To ensure this reunion was possible, the Egyptians employed their most sacred arts and sciences. The intricate process of mummification was designed to preserve the physical form, so the Ba would always recognize its home. The hieroglyphs and spells inscribed on tomb walls and papyri were not mere decorations. They were a spiritual toolkit, a guide for the Ba on its dangerous nocturnal journey. One of the most famous of these guides, the Papyrus of Ani, which we know as part of the Book of the Dead, contains specific incantations for this very purpose. There are spells for causing the Ba to be united to its corpse, and for giving a mouth to the deceased so they could speak the words of power. This was a practical, ritualistic technology for ensuring the continuation of consciousness. This ancient vision of a soul with multiple parts, capable of separating from the body, offers a fascinating lens through which to view certain timeless human experiences. Consider the accounts of near-death experiences, which have been documented across cultures for centuries. In these states, people often report a sensation of floating above their own physical bodies, observing the scene with a sense of peaceful detachment. From an Egyptian perspective, one could say this is the Ba, the star of personality, temporarily separating from its physical form and its living shadow. But for the Egyptian, this separation was only the beginning of the journey. For the soul's grand reunion to be granted, for the Akh to be born, the spirit first had to face a final test in a sacred celestial court. It was a judgment that did not depend on the mercy of the gods, but on the literal weight of your character, with a terrifying cosmic beast waiting to devour the unworthy and erase them from existence forever. The soul, having navigated the trials of the underworld, arrives at its final destination, the Hall of Two Truths. Here, before a divine assembly of 42 judges, the ultimate test of its worthiness takes place. The scene, depicted with breathtaking detail in the papyri of ancient Egypt, is one of solemn cosmic gravity. The jackal-headed god Anubis, the guardian of the dead, gently leads the soul forward. Before him stands a great golden scale. In one dish, Anubis places the soul's heart, the seat of its conscience, the record of every intention and every secret from its earthly life. In the other dish, he places a single pure white ostrich feather. This is the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth, justice, and cosmic order. This is not a test of knowledge or power. It is the final audit of the soul's integrity. Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom and writing, stands ready with his scribe's palette, prepared to record the verdict. And watching with an unnerving hunger is the fearsome creature Ammit, the devourer of the dead. Part crocodile, part lion, and part hippopotamus, Ammit is the embodiment of utter annihilation. If the heart, heavy with deceit, injustice, and unresolved darkness, should tip the scales against the feather, it would be thrown to her. The soul would not be sent to a hell of punishment. Its fate would be far worse. It would be unmade, its consciousness erased from existence forever. This ancient ritual, this divine courtroom drama, is a profound metaphor for a truth we still grapple with today. We speak of having a heavy heart when we are burdened by guilt, or a light heart when we are free and at peace. The Egyptian sages understood this not just as poetry, but as a spiritual reality. They knew that a life lived out of alignment with truth creates a tangible weight on the soul. In modern psychology, this is called cognitive dissonance. The mental and emotional stress we experience when our actions contradict our deepest values. This dissonance is a heaviness, a friction within our being that drains our life force. The scales of Maat are a perfect ancient illustration of this final internal judgment. The soul cannot lie to itself. Its very substance either resonates with truth or is weighed down by its absence. But this judgment was not arbitrary. the soul was given a chance to advocate for itself through a powerful ritual known as the negative confession or the declaration of innocence. Standing before the divine judges, the soul had to address each one by name and declare a specific wrongdoing it had not committed during its life. I have not stolen. I have not spoken deceitfully. I have not caused pain. I have not polluted the waters. This list of 42 declarations formed a comprehensive moral code that guided Egyptian life. It shows that a light heart was not a matter of luck or divine favor, but the result of a conscious, ethical life. Integrity was the key to eternity. Here we see a profound wisdom. The ancient Stoics would later teach that we should review our actions each night, weighing them against virtue. The Egyptians simply placed this moment of self-reflection at the threshold of eternity itself, making it the ultimate arbiter of a soul's destiny. Have you ever felt that lightness that comes after speaking a difficult truth, or that heaviness after a small act of dishonesty? That is the subtle daily movement of Ma'at's scales within you. The Egyptians believed that you were ultimately judged by the integrity of your actions. But across the Mediterranean, the philosophers of Greece were proposing an idea that was, in some ways, even more radical. That you are not judged by your actions at all, because you are already divine. You simply have to remember it. The Greek philosophers, particularly Plato, approached this mystery not through divine revelation or sacred ritual, but through the power of pure reason and introspection. Their radical idea was that the soul is not on a journey to become worthy or pure. It already is. The challenge is not one of achievement, but of memory. Plato called this process anamnesis, the doctrine of recollection. He taught that our immortal souls exist before birth in a realm of perfect forms, a dimension of pure truth, beauty, and goodness. There, the soul knows everything, but the shock and trauma of being born into a physical body, what he poetically described as drinking from the river of forgetfulness or lethe, causes us to forget our divine origin. Therefore, to Plato, all learning in this life is not the acquisition of new information, but the act of remembering what the soul already knows. That sudden moment of clarity when you finally understand a complex idea, that feeling of déjà vu, or that inexplicable affinity for a certain philosophy or art form, Plato would argue these are moments of anamnesis. They are sparks of recollection, the soul stirring as it recognizes a shadow of the perfect truth it once knew. This reframes the entire human experience. We are not here to build our divinity, but simply to uncover it from beneath the veil of earthly amnesia. We have journeyed through the ages, from the resonance chamber of the Vedic rishis to the celestial courtrooms of the Egyptian gods, to the sunlit forums of Greek philosophy. On the surface, these visions of the soul's journey may seem vastly different: a circular wheel, a linear voyage, a process of remembering. They use different languages, different symbols, and different metaphors. But this is where the true wisdom reveals itself. The ancient sages were not describing different realities. They were describing different facets of the same magnificent diamond. They were offering us a universal instruction manual for the soul, revealing the three essential faces of our own immortal story. The first face is revealed by the Vedic sages. It is the face of the architect. This perspective teaches that you are the conscious creator of your reality. The universe is not happening to you. It is responding through you. Your life, with its repeating patterns and persistent challenges, is not a random sequence of events. It is a perfect reflection, an echo of the sounds you have emitted through the law of karma. That feeling of being stuck, that relationship that seems to replay the same drama with a different person, this is not a curse. It is a communication. It is your soul's past creations showing you the blueprint of what you have built, offering you the profound opportunity to pick up your tools and build differently, with more wisdom and more love, right now. The second face is shown to us by the priest scribes of Egypt. It is the face of the traveler. If the Vedic vision gives us the law of spiritual physics, the Egyptian wisdom gives us the map for the great Odyssey. This perspective reveals that your existence is a purposeful journey through different states of being, a pilgrimage from form to formlessness and back again. The goal is not simply to endure, but to travel with integrity. The weighing of your heart is not a threat of damnation, but a reminder that your truth is your compass. Your alignment with your own inner mayat, your own core integrity, is the passport that allows you to navigate the seen and unseen worlds. It is what makes your soul coherent, effective, and capable of continuing its journey toward becoming a unified being of light. And finally, the Greek philosophers reveal the third and perhaps most liberating face. It is the face of the scholar. This wisdom whispers that you are a divine being temporarily afflicted with amnesia. You are not an empty vessel to be filled with knowledge, but a full library from which the stories have been temporarily removed. The entire purpose of your life as architect and traveler is simply to remember what you already are. Those sudden flashes of insight, those inexplicable passions for a certain historical era, that deep, aching longing for a beauty this world can only hint at. These are not mere personality quirks. They are your soul's memory coming back online. They are moments of anamnesis, the sacred act of unforgetting. So you see, these are not three different stories. They are three inseparable aspects of you. You are the architect, shaping your destiny with every thought. You are the traveler, navigating a great journey where your heart is your only true guide. And you are the scholar, slowly, patiently, remembering the divine wisdom that has been within you all along. You are not a single limited person. You are a timeless consciousness, simultaneously creating, journeying, and remembering. Understanding these three faces of your soul, the architect, the traveler, and the scholar, is more than just a fascinating philosophical journey. It is a practical tool. It is a compass with three needles, each one pointing toward a different aspect of your inner truth. The sages did not leave us this knowledge merely for contemplation. They left it for transformation. So let us bring this ancient wisdom into the present moment. Let us engage in a simple but profound practice of self-archaeology, using the three lenses of the sages to excavate the truths hidden just beneath the surface of your own life. You do not need anything external for this. Only your stillness, your honesty, and your willingness to listen. First, let us use the lens of the Vedic rishis. This is the practice of detecting the echoes in your resonance chamber. Take a moment to close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Take a slow, deep breath. Now ask yourself this question, not with your mind, but with your heart. What is the most persistent echo in my life's chamber? Do not look for a story or a person. Look for the underlying vibration. Is it the hum of abandonment, the sharp ring of betrayal, the quiet ache of not being seen, the frantic buzz of needing to prove your worth? Don't analyze it. Don't judge it. Simply name the vibration. Acknowledging the echo is the first step to changing the sound you emit. Next, we will use the lens of the Egyptian scribes. This is the practice of weighing your own heart. With that same quiet stillness, ask yourself this: where in my life today does my heart feel heavier than a feather? Where am I acting in a way that is out of alignment with my deepest truth, my own inner mayat? Perhaps it's a small, unspoken resentment, a promise you made that you are not keeping, a path you are walking to please someone else. Be radically honest, but also deeply compassionate with yourself. This is not about judgment. This is about calibration. It is about noticing where your compass is pointing, so you can gently, deliberately guide it back towards your true north. No one is watching. No beast waits to devour you. There is only your own desire for lightness and freedom. Finally, we use the lens of the Greek philosophers. This is the practice of excavating your soul's memory. Reflect on your life, from childhood to this very moment, and ask this: what knowledge, what skill, what place or what person has felt instantly and inexplicably familiar to me, like a melody I've known forever? It could be the comfort you feel in an old library, your natural talent for a musical instrument you never studied, the feeling of coming home to a country you'd never visited, or the instant recognition in a stranger's eyes. Allow yourself to honor these attractions. They are not random fascinations. They are the sacred breadcrumbs of anamnesis, your soul trying to lead you back to the memory of who you truly are. This simple practice, this act of self-archaeology, is the beginning of wisdom. When you start to listen to the echoes, weigh the heart, and honor the memories, you are no longer a passive passenger in your life. You become an active participant in your own grand, immortal story. The great sages of our ancient world, the architects of our deepest spiritual inquiries, have shown us a profound truth. The question was never truly how many lives you have lived, but how much wisdom you have accumulated within them. They have shown us that you are not merely a character in a single fleeting story. You are the living library itself, containing all the tales, all the lessons, and all the silent wisdom of your soul's long and winding journey. The stories of karma, of the heart's judgment, and of forgotten memories are not myths from a distant past. They are the living architecture of your present moment. The most profound of these ancient texts are not written on stone or papyrus. They are inscribed in the very fabric of your being. There is a powerful phrase in the papyrus of Ani, spoken by the soul who has successfully navigated the underworld and proven its worth. It looks toward eternity and declares with quiet confidence, "I am yesterday, and I know tomorrow." This is the inheritance of a soul that has come to understand itself. So from this day forward, treat yourself as the sacred text you are. Treat your inexplicable fears not as flaws, but as footnotes to a story that has already been written. Treat your natural talents not as luck, but as chapters you have already mastered. You are not just living, you are reading yourself. In the comments below, share which of the three lenses of the sages, the architect, the traveler, or the scholar, most changed the perspective of your own life. Your insight may be the key that helps another person to begin reading their own story.